What is up, Poke Peeps and Masters? It is Russ here, PokeRuss here, and we are back for some more Dragon Ball Z content on the channel and some more TCG and some more Deck Tech Tuesdays. So Deck Tech Tuesdays will be a little different today. We have a guest speaker, Richard Zabdos, from over at Kitchen Table Meta. He's going to be doing the deck profile in today's episode, so give him a warm Poke Peep welcome, and let's get into the video. It might be over there. I don't know.
What's going on, everyone? This is Richard Zappa from Kitchen Table Meta, hanging out with PokeRuss over at PokeRussPlays. We just finished a local tournament where my boy David here, he won. We had two events. First event today, he did well in the second event too. Playing a little updated SS3 Apes. Good old monkeys. David, you want to talk a little bit real fast about how your day went and what do you think? How do you think this deck performs?
I think that deck performs very well. I think it could use room for a few more things, but it played very well. It had against stuff everybody played. It did good.
Yeah, it's surprisingly a really competitive. Right out of the gate, it's a pretty competitive deck.
Oh yeah, turn one Bardock into an ape that gives blocker and 20k first turn is stupid.
Yeah,
For a deck.
and the deck only gets more powerful with the release of BCC Go 10. So we'll talk a little bit about how the list is now, and we'll talk a little more about what cards will change later on. But yeah, so shout-outs to Dave for making this deck. Him and I worked together to make a couple improvements on it, and this is where we're at so far. So we opened the list up with 2 Successor of Hopes and 4 copies of Bardock the Pronator. Really, the hope is that you see one of these cards turn 1. In Magical Christmas Land, turn 1, you're probably getting... You're playing a Bardock, and then you are swinging with your leader, comboing one of the 4-cost Bardock Apes, Bardock Will of Iron, and now your Bardock is a 20k. Depending on the matchup, sometimes the right play is Planet Vegeta plus Bardock, and then on the following turn, you start going off with your large 8 plays. Successor of Hope here is a 2 of, just because you always want to have access to Bardock, and this gives you access to it. 6 copies is more than 4, and at worst case scenario, you discard it for a card like Flying Nimbus, or you play it right away to get a Bardock. Even if that Bardock is dead in the late game, that's still a 0-5 combo that you wouldn't have otherwise. Planet Vegeta, of course, being a linchpin of the deck, being able to untap your apes is an incredibly powerful effect. The main reason you play SS3 in this meta right now is, to be honest, while this version does still play the King Vegeta line, that line's not great right now. There's not a lot of removal. It takes a lot of time to get those cards out. There's a lot of games with this deck where you'll never even play King Vegeta because you're busy marching every turn. But yeah, that's the biggest change in this format. And that's probably, we just talked about adding the BCC Go 10s come August 1st. And you probably take out those 3-cost and 5-cost Bardocks, or 3-cost and 5-cost King Vegetas, so you can play a full line of Go 10s. Because it's a really impactful card. Coming into your later curve, of course you have 4 copies of Boost Attack Piccolo, 4 copies of Raging Spirit Sun Gohan. Raging Spirit Sun Gohan, of course, being an excellent splash in here. Once you do get King Vegeta on the board, you do not have to pay energy to play these Raging Spirit Sun Gohans. Solid card. Boost Attack Piccolo, standard super combo. If you don't play it, you're bad. Coming to the 3 costs. 4 copies of Lord of the Great Ape King Vegeta makes your March of the Great Apes more consistent. That's really the application of the card here. And it's a card that even if you just play it for 3 mana, your opponent has to respect it because of the fear of evoing it for 3. It's pretty legitimate. We splash 1 copy of Prodigal Dynasty Sun Goten. This card is crazy good. This effect says, whenever they attack one of your yellow battle cards, if you combo with this on their turn while you're defending, this card gains plus 10 and it's a 15k combo. So that's fantastic. If they're going for lethal, you activate your Vegeta blocker or your Bardock blocker. He's 20k, boom, 35. They probably use 2 cards, 3 cards to be able to get to that, and this is stopping that. Right now it's a 1 of, it's probably a 2 of. I would say with the BCCs, if you're taking out 2 copies of 5-cost King Vegeta and 3 or 4 copies of Lord of the Great Ape King Vegeta, that's 4 copies of BCC's Goten, Scrambling Assault, and maybe another copy of Prodigal Dynasty. The real reason why we added this is those 2 copies of Successor of Hope we have. If you don't want to get Bardock, this is a legal target for that card. So your 8 package, 4 cost of 4 copies of March of the Great Apes, 4 copies of Great Ape Prince Vegeta, 4 copies of Bardock Bullivire. Straightforward. If anything, I wish you had more apes, just so that when you got to your 4th March, you could still play it. You know, there's a variation of this deck where instead of playing so many of the 4 cost apes, you focus more on the 3 drops, the Fascia and the Tora. But instead of playing King Vegeta 5 cost, you actually play Ox King. And Ox King gives both of those 20k blocker 3 costs barrier. And that's almost a faster version of March with a similar effect. Haven't tested that yet, but if you're bored, it's definitely something to consider. Four copies of Unbreakable Super Saiyan Goku. One of the greatest cards in the game. One of the reasons why SS3 is such a good leader, because you can play this card unconditionally and just have 8 super combos. Really straightforward. You hate to always draw it. It's better in this deck than most because we're playing 2 copies of Absolute Defense Great Ape King Vegeta, and that lets you play these for free even if you're tapped out, even if you're unawakened. Pretty cool. Absolute Defense Great Ape Vegeta. As I said, in a faster meta, as we start seeing more red-blue Trunks, more red-blue Hirudegarn, more blue-yellow Hirudegarn, this card might be a little bit too slow for the format. I would consider including it with the BCCs, but until then, 25k Double Strike, that gives the rest of your board barrier. Still a good card. We run 2 copies of Masked Saiyan. There are some black cards, such as Scientist Fu and Dimensional Breaker Fu, which might have a better slot in here. With our current meta, Masked Saiyan made the most sense for David today, which is fine. Masked Saiyan also has the small perk of while you have King Vegeta on the field, you don't have to pay the 1 mana to use him as a 10k combo piece. That on its own gives it a small buff, opposed to something like Dimensional Breaker Fu. But if you paid a card like that or 7 cost Fu, nobody would fault you for it. End of the deck, 4 copies of Sensu Bean, 3 copies of Flying Nimbus. Pretty standard. Flying Nimbus being a great way to defend yourself from these crazy offensive onslaughts. Sensu Bean as well is a great way to stop yourself whenever they're pushing with their 10k, 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 15k, 15k, 15k. Sensu Bean ensures that you stick in the game. You know, Successor of Hope, which isn't the greatest card in this deck, but it increases the consistency of your open so much. But discarding one of those cards for Flying Nimbus is a good feeling. But that's 50 cards. Still a pretty standard ape deck. I think we're going to see this evolve and change a little bit with BCC Goten. But here's the deck. Thanks to the card shops that support us. Thanks to Kitchen Table Meta for allowing me to go to events. I'm looking forward to events like the Toledo 1K and Gen Con in August. Thanks to PokeRussPlays. You know, we love making content for you all, and shout out to everybody we play with. Have a good one.